Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are here today. Hayley Perry, Deana David. What are we doing, Hayley?
We are at the Silvermine Art Center in New Canaan, Connecticut. New Canaan,
Yes.
Connecticut. I'm a Massachusettsan, so I get these names wrong. And we are to see Ordinary, Extraordinary Women here by All Work by Liz Alpert, a collection of over 20 rugs.
Yeah, giant like portraits.
Of all women from her life.
Yes. And I think it was a very good sign that as we were arriving, we saw tons of our guild friends from this whole region.
Oh my gosh.
Pouring out, feeling like this is the best thing they've ever seen.
Yes, absolutely. The work is absolutely incredible. We are going to bring you inside to take a look and,
we'll see if she's there. Maybe we can catch her for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to say, this is for us in this region, right? Hayley came from Rhode Island. This is Connecticut. In this region, this is a really big deal, having an all rug exhibit that's this large.
Absolutely.
And the parking lot is filled. It didn't open today. It opened over the weekend, right?
Yes.
So it's not like it's new. There's massive foot traffic. People are super excited about this, and this is an exhibit that's on tour. So, it might be coming somewhere near you, but I think it's a very good sign for us as hookers that there is so much buzz around this exhibit.
Yes.
So.
And we should say that this show is only up one more day. So that's the other thing about this show is that it opened, I believe, over the weekend and is only up before July, the holiday.
Is so much work for one
squished together. We'd say come see the show, but you're going to have to wait till it comes back into the area.
Yeah.
But it is on tour, so hopefully it'll be coming back into
your area. It is on tour, but I guess we're going to have to do our best to give them the most content possible while we're here, right?
Yep.
All right, let's get started. All right, Hayley, what have you got here?
So when you first come into the Silvermine Art Center, there's this wonderful verbiage on the wall explaining about what rug hooking is, firstly, so people know like how much work goes into this, and also explaining the storytelling aspect of these rugs. They're they're personal to the artist, but also personal to the person who sat for the portrait. So Liz Alpert has done her best to put in not only different kinds of imagery that tells the story of that person, but different materials within the hooked rug to also enhance the storytelling aspect of the piece. So that's some of the things we're going to be looking for today is how can you use fiber and other types of materials, physical materials, to enhance that kind of storytelling aspect. So
that's incredible. I'm already like window shopping over your shoulder here. So when you enter the room here, we've got this beautiful vaulted room with these pieces and we're just, Hayley, should I just do like
just pan around.
I'm going to pan.
So they're all numbered as well. So if you look on some of the of the pieces, you'll see where they are in the series.
In the chronology. So she started at 1, and you think that she's been doing this for about 20 years kind of thing?
That's what I have heard.
Okay.
Yes, about 20 years.
These are, if you stand there, we'll see how truly enormous, right? These are epically big pieces.
And all hand-hooked rug making, the traditional style, where wool fabric is pulled up to the surface of the rug.
Yeah.
So every single one of these loops was hand-pulled.
This is like extraordinary. I need to read all of this, but we'll keep going. We started in this room because there's a lot of noise in the other room. And I think that's probably Liz herself.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz going on.
Oh my God, look at this piece. Look at this piece. I wonder if it's apparent how shiny. What is that fiber?
Yeah.
Is that like sari ribbon with
sequins? It looks like a stretchy, like one of those stretchy materials.
Oh, okay, like a synthetic.
Yeah, I think so. So, and with every rug that is hung, there's also tells you the story and about the subject of the person that it's about. So there's a lot of information to look at and a lot of information to read throughout this show.
Oh, it looks like there's some applique up here.
Yeah.
Like reverse.
Yeah, and there's also some three-dimensional elements.
Oh, there are. Yeah, the braid is three-dimensional. Oh, my word. I like how she kicked her shoes off there and she's just hanging with the chickens. This is an extraordinary piece. The blueberries at our feet.
Yeah, every single one is very different. But you can see how certain pieces sort of go together.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Oh, I love this one too. So I'll show you top to bottom. Let me give you a quick scan. Right. So this is a woman sitting with her hat boxes. Oh my gosh. And her birds, crows or magpies and woodpecker, a cardinal.
Yeah. And it looks like this subject's about life size.
Okay.
Sometimes the people are life size.
Whoa.
Sometimes they're not. A little smaller or a little bigger.
Oh my gosh. I love hat boxes. So this one is really speaking to me. I mean, just the framework and the composition is so interesting because there's such little abstract trees up there, but then there's so much color blocking.
Yeah,
same with this one. Let's come in a little bit closer here for this one to see the subject. And then this three-dimensional work here. It's really amazing.
A great lesson in how to abstract space.
Yeah.
And how to break up a full background. You can imagine hooking all of this. It's such a large area that you just want to break it up just to, reserve your colors, but also just from a visual interest point of view, breaking these into different color blocks makes so much sense.
It's so striking because it has a beautiful balance of sort of like the Matisse garden at the bottom. And then this is so modernist, right? Like all of the color blocks. When you come close to it as rug hookers, I'm sure you're wondering, what does the actual hooking look like? It's very strong directional hooking. So it's vertical hooking that we're seeing here. She's doing some outlining, but it's very strong verticals. And then obviously she changes direction in different places for different reasons. But in general, it has that vibe of being very orderly. It's very tidy hooking. Little touches there. The centers of the flowers have little stamens coming out of them.
Definitely, I think, again, to speak to using the materials to either read as like real texture or say something about the people that are being hooked, the subjects. I know that sometimes she was using, at least I believe I read online that sometimes she was using actual pieces of clothing from the subject.
Oh, wow.
Within their portrait.
Wow. This little star. Here, let's go over here. It's still quiet in here. Let's come over here. Sure. We'll change places for a minute. If only because my hands.
Yeah, I know. You need a little break every once in a while.
Oh, this is extraordinary too. Let me put my glasses on. It looks like, okay, so it's showing the person, right? So there's some text on the person. Victoria loves to tell stories. It is led her to a very satisfying creative calling as a filmmaker and writer. And on about Victoria's life, an extraordinary person. And then this beautiful piece here. And in this case, we're looking at mostly horizontal directional hooking, right? Very, very strong in the background. And look at all of this, Hayley. Look at all of this very three-dimensional. Has that Western flavor, doesn't it? Particularly with the fringe hanging down, breaks the border.
Absolutely.
Has that Western flavor. Just the sort of casual friendliness of the subject, the expression on the face, the clothing, such a sense of place, right? It really very Western palette. It's an exceptional piece here. She's holding her filmmaking camera, right? So a real statement on her life, who she is, what she does, where her passions lie. And look at the scarf, the detail on the scarf. Looks like the earring is embroidered.
It's interesting to compare sort of the simplicity of the faces and like the horses are, like somewhat simplified. And then the textiles within the pieces, the plants, the foliage, the camera, they're simplified just enough.
That's so interesting.
But also, you really get a sense of the person being a person, like the person's humanity.
That's so interesting because what you're describing, the line drawing of the animals and the faces and the two that we just looked at, you can see her style. You can see Liz's style. Like her style of drawing is very specific.
Yes.
Very well defined. And you're right. There is a lot of attention to detail, composition in the background. I suppose with pieces this size, you have to be thoughtful about how you're filling your background. But there is a lot of attention to detail with the textiles.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's not a coincidence because she's a textile artist, so she's interested in fabric and how fabrics look. And that is a big part of all of these pieces is what are the women wearing?
Yeah.
How does it trade using some three-dimensional elements? That's interesting.
Yeah.
That really stands out.
In fact, I think I'm going to pan around just one more time so we can sort of get a sense of this room and the scale of the pieces, and you can see where's the detail, where's the flat spots.
You know, and it's just a great reminder that for people, whether they feel that if they are artists with a capital A or not, you know, your drawing style can translate to textile design, specifically rug hooking, right? And however you draw, once you get going with your hooking, it will be great. It will be great because you can see simple lines get you there, right? Simple lines and a few technical skills, a few tricks that get you there. These are epic pieces, right? This is gallery work, literally. But it goes to show that you don't have to have full realism in your faces for your piece to be striking and successful.
And tell a good story.
Yeah. You can tell the story with just a few simple lines too. So, that's more her style, isn't it? Should we see if we can find her?
Yeah, let's go.
Just give her a minute.
So in addition to the actual showpieces, they've set up this kind of how-to station here as well. So people who come can learn a bit about the rug making process and the tools and equipment that's used. You can also see Liz's other books. So there's an educational aspect here. As we know in rug hooking, that's always some of the first questions we get.
Ooh, look at this. It says clothing from Joan's family for use in her portrait.
Wow, see?
Little swatches of actual material, because we did see an example of applique material. Everybody's going to recognize this who's a rug hooker, right? All this stuff is familiar.
Oh, yeah.
But this is unusual.
Yeah.
And there's a film going over there, right? Which will probably be present at all of our exhibits. There's a little slideshow going.
Yep. And I know it's blurry on the camera, but it will, I mean, the educational aspect of how is this work made? What's the tradition of this kind of rug making it's important for the general public to see that, I think.
It really is. It really is, because people look at what we do and they think we did it on a loom 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And then you say, no, it's hooked, and then they think about latch hook. And it's still 99% of the population, they're not going to get it until you show them.
Absolutely.
Because it's not the low hanging fruit compared to other crafts.
Yep. So all the stages are documented.
Yeah. Okay, so we are standing in front of this astonishing piece called The Magical World of Kimberly Dane Proctor, right? With Liz, you are the artist, and Kimberly, you are the subject of this piece.
I am.
And I thought this was kind of magical because Hayley spotted that this is you in this piece. That must make you an extraordinary woman, right?
I guess I'm part of the club here.
You are. This is an amazing piece. Liz, you did this right onto the backing.
I did, yes.
And you left on this piece some of the backing open.
I did.
And part of the story for you, Kimberly, must be the town that you're from?
Well,
and the garden?
I'm a landscape designer,
Okay.
and I had designed a landscape for Liz and Steve's house in Newtown, Sandy Hook, actually.
Nice.
And so Liz took the elements from the plan.
I see, yes,
including
the garden design.
the plant names. And, popping out the trees and...
my
she
word.
said, could you come over and I can take your picture? And I didn't know at that point why. And I drew the dahlias that are in the portrait. So I wore a hat and the dahlias.
And so you must have, over the course of some time, watched the progress of this piece being hooked?
Well, no, because Liz always worked in the studio and she would, on Instagram, show little details of the portraits.
Tantalizing, huh?
Yes.
Nobody saw, only a couple people saw their portraits until yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
At the opening?
Yes.
What a big reveal. Were there quite a few people who are subjects who came to the opening?
Except 3.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That must have
Two had
been.
passed away, one was out of the country.
Okay.
Everybody came.
That is
And it
thrilling.
was great to meet the other women.
I have to tell you about this though.
Yeah.
Because Kim designs things on paper.
Yes.
And then she brings beauty into the world. And that's why these things are coming into color.
I see. So it starts out in the black and white paper.
And then things start to move.
And then it grows into
reality.
This is so clever, the way that this piece is constructed. And I love the sort of diagram aspect to it, where you've got the code and then you can refer to, because we don't know the language of landscape design. So it's so beautiful. It's so exceptional. And it's so, we're looking at some of your pieces, and maybe we can look at one or two others.
Well, that's because they're all exceptional.
They're all exceptional, and they're all very different. Yes. And that makes me think that you must have been working very closely to your idea, your relationship to the subject, because in terms of composition, they're all very different.
Right.
So,
in the book too, it goes into a little more depth.
I'm picking that book up. There is a book that goes with the exhibit. Do you also have that for sale somewhere?
I do, in the gallery shop.
Yep, on your website too for people who aren't?
It's going to be. Right now it's on Instagram, but it will be.
Fantastic. So we'll make sure that we connect you with that information, because I'm going to pick it up at the gallery shop.
It's a beautiful
people
book.
in other places. How can it miss, right?
Exactly.
So beautiful. This is an incredible piece. And it made me think can we walk over there and look at some other pieces? Every piece, it was so nice seeing you, Kimberly. What a treat. Liz, I was looking at this piece over here because you're using so many different styles. You're breaking the border apart. In this piece, you've got some high relief, like you've got the button on, you've got some trapunto going. Right. And how do you choose to do these different effects? What makes you choose?
Each portrait is a challenge. I do something different in every one that I haven't done before.
Yeah.
And so each one tells a story also. And Julie actually made this. It's a very embroidered pin that she made.
Oh.
So very briefly, the story is that Julie used to write the news, the AM news in New York City.
Okay.
And they didn't have a train running to where she lived at night. They'd send a limo to her. So she'd take the limo into work, and on the way back she would work on the train, and she would make these pins. So the rest of the story is she's married to a professional backward player. She has a rescue farm with large animals. She lives in a very old barn.
Wow.
And in the rafters of the living room is a spinning wheel collection. So I wanted to show her on the train, and but also show all the other aspects of her life. So that's how that...
I love Julia. Was she here yesterday or this weekend?
She has been here multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
The contrast in her life is the contrast, right? Like she's got this busy Manhattan life, and she power job, and she comes home to the back paper, the barn, the animals. It gives you the shivers. It is an exciting. It's a great. I can see why she was a great sort of subject for you to work with.
And this fabric is her husband's from his kilt.
Oh, the plaid.
So it was something personal, that I tried to get into each one.
That is so cool. We were noticing you do a lot with directional hooking as well, in places that are sort of flat, big flat fields.
I love that.
You kind of put your foot down on the gas and you do the directional roll, but then other places you kind of lighten it up and you're very organic and loose. And that must be just a feel thing for you.
I think so. I don't really think about it too much. I do it while I'm working, but I don't set out to do it. I design them, and I have an idea of the colors, but then I really just, it's more intuitive as I'm working.
Yeah, you're a proper artist, right? This is how you work from the heart. Yeah. Hayley noticed in the other room that in many of these pieces, your line drawings are fairly simple, right?
Yes,
like expert but simple. And it was Hayley's observation that a lot of your interest, energy, and focus goes into the textiles within the textile. Mm-hmm. So you're very intricate, and that must be the textile lover in you, right? Mm-hmm. That you lock into her vest and you say, sorry. I know who this is. I'm sorry. This is without a doubt my son telling you what video game he's playing. It being summer and fall. Sorry about that. He's having a big...
But we were talking about sort of like the places you choose to put the most detail and the most energy, and how interesting we thought that was. Though even the simplified places, there's still a lot of thought there, because you can see the person's, facial expression, humanity. So it was just so interesting and wonderful. We so appreciate you taking the time to explain to us.
It's amazing. Can we look at one over here while it's empty? You tell us.
You might be, there's two down there. One is the very first portrait, but that one, Marilyn Botcher, is a red cooker. She's been teaching about cooking for 50 years, so you might be interested. There's some sort of, cooking history.
Oh, okay. The standing one.
Yes.
I love this one.
She's either 95 or 96. You have to look at
Oh, gosh.
I love the composition of this because many of them are busy and that is like eye candy. But with
Yes.
her, it's a very austere background. And she really is the subject.
She's a very tall, elegant woman. That's how I appreciate her. And so all these strips of fabric that are hanging were given to me by her rug cutting friends. So send me something that you'd like to include in her portrait. So on the back of her portrait, I have all their names listed. So,
oh my gosh.
So Marilyn has a collection of Navajo rugs, which she's standing on. Her jacket was a challenge to me. I'd never hooked something like that before. I loved doing the detail, really focusing on doing it. And she moved, and she gave me a whole bunch of amaryllis plants to grow. And so now I have all these bowls. She gave me feverfew from her garden. So these are all like things that we have that are connections. And spoon knitting, which, do as a child. Her husband was an amateur photographer, and old photographs have those edges like that. So that's a reference to him, even though he's now gone. Oh my! So there's stories, So, and the challenge on this one for me was that there's so many different colors of white. And so it ended up making her face a little darker than I might have chosen that. But, putting one color next to another always changes.
That's a great point. There are many whites in this. I mean, it's such a striking piece. And it's so clear as soon as you walk into the exhibit that each piece has its own symbolism, right? There's like mythology associated with each person.
Right.
Gosh, it wasn't hard over time. Is it a case of you just keep meeting people who have these interesting stories and you're inspired? And
I'll tell you what happened. This portrait of Ruth was where it all started. And it wasn't going to be a series. It just started with her. There's a whole very long story about her. She was 92 when I met her, and she was sort of a relative of ours. And so after, it was the first time I had hooked a person. And because I wasn't sure how she would feel about it, she loved it. And that encouraged me to go on. So all these other people are women in my life. And as I encountered each one, I thought, I really want to honor that person. So what I would do, well, first of all, I asked all of them permission. And I got permission from all of them. And then I would go into them, and I would ask them questions of what's important to you. So some of those details that they responded to. And then I would take photographs of them. So all these are based on photographs that I'm taking. Some are more collaged, some are more pretty much what the photo said. Except for two. That one and that one of my dog were designed by them. So it was colors. All the rest of them. I hope they designed themselves.
Wow. I love the one of your daughter too. It again is very different. It's a severe crop. So it's very different. That explains it.
This was a painting that she did in high school.
Oh my gosh.
And so when she came home with it, I thought it says exactly what I would want to say about her. Mm-hmm. And so I asked again for permission and she said yes. And the best thing was that the other day, her high school art teacher came in, as well as her elementary school teacher, and we got to take their pictures and which they had no idea what had done.
These must be amazing moments for you. Really, seeing this come together, a project of 20 years. It must feel amazing to come together this way. What do you think the mask symbolizes for her in that piece?
I'll tell you, everything, the bright colors are definitely her. Mm-hmm. The nose ring she still has. Mm-hmm. When it came to the eyes in the portrait, they were very sad. And I said, why? And she didn't know. And then I thought about the mask, and it's like, your family, your really close friends, but you don't know everything about it. There's always a little bit of mystery. Oh. And that's what the mask does.
Oh, that's going to choke me up. That's true.
So that's why it was perfect. And it still is.
That's true. And I think you, as a child, that got me. Yeah. As a mother-child, there is, you're so close, but you're strangers in so many ways. And as a child, you keep so much, right, from your family because you have learned to be independent in who you are, but you don't necessarily want
your parents, your aunt, your sister to see that part of you, because it's a separate parallel part.
It's like a personal thing.
Yeah. Interesting. That's interesting. That says a lot about a person that age, doesn't it? Just where you are in your life. And this obviously stands out as being very different.
Yes. She is a children's book author and illustrator, a good friend of mine. And I said to her, why don't you design your own portrait? Why do I do that? Who knows? So I said to her, please design like a page for one of her books. And so she sent this photos that we had read over the computer, and she had painted it with a gouache, which is like watercolor. So the colors were very soft. So I needed to hand dye all the wools in there, as I did in my daughter's portrait. That was a lot of wool to dye. This was smaller pieces of wool to dye. Yeah. And so she says, since we were both artists, she designed it like, how hard is it to make a living as an artist? And that's what the story is. And as somebody pointed out today, the portfolio, nobody takes a portfolio and walks around with it anymore. It's all digital.
That's it.
But her career took off. She's done like 5 covers for the New Yorker magazine, and she has a whole lot of children's books that she's done.
Wow.
So while she worked on this, she was writing a graphic memoir about her family, and she finished it just about at the time that I finished this piece.
Oh, wow.
And so the piece then went on to Fiber Art International, which is about that. It's a big show in this country. And I wasn't able to go, but she and her daughter went, and they took pictures.
Wow.
So it was just really nice that,
it's such a great, I mean, what a great piece of storytelling in her voice this time. I just love how prominently rejections piled up is followed by success. It just reminds you, like,
there's a little bit of humor in a lot of these pieces too. I mean, this one may be the most apparent just because it is told like, with a story but they're just maybe in the cleverness that you solved the problem of incorporating all these little, there's a humor with that. Like I just even think of this one you did of the rug hooker and just the line of the photograph. Like there's something funny about that, like how you solved adding in the photography element using that line and how simple you did that. Like kind of makes me chuckle a little bit of like, yes, of course, it's so simple, so sort of being tickled by that cleverness of solving the design problem.
somebody pointed out to me after reading the biographies that a lot of these women have overcome things in their lives, hardships, and they just keep going, and it's part of what you do.
Yeah. There is something sort of stoic about many of them, and iconic, and I don't, it's some kind of magic that you're layering in, it's you, but there is something about each one that, trying to think of the word, what's the word for there being certain character types, there's only so many character types in the world of kinds of people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, like an archetype type.
Archetypes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm looking at them in that way and saying like it's the gardener, right? It's the gardener of higher years, right? Although she still looks super pretty, the way that she's portrayed, and all of her things about her that made that life. The storytelling is.
She was a very special person. This definitely. Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah.
You have time? Okay. So this is Ruth Spring. She lived in Indian Lake, New York, which is a tiny village in the central Adirondacks. And if you haven't been there before, it's pretty remote and it's sometimes hard to get fresh fruit and vegetables. So she invited my daughter, who was very young, and myself to visit her organic vegetable garden and pick vegetables. So we arrived and she said this great big chair because she had bad arthritis. So her family would put the chair out in the middle of the garden and she would orchestrate whoever was there what needed to get done that day. So we're done and she says, oh, one more thing. Chelsea, go over there and pick some of those onions. They're sweet as apples. So we're starving. We're ready for lunch. We get back in the car. I glance over to see if she's buckled in and her eyes are streaming. And I said, what's the matter? And she said, Ruth told me those onions taste like apples. And the eyes are just coming out. I said, oh. So I laughed, and we went on our way. And later when I came back to Connecticut, I said, I have to tell this story, and I have to honor Ruth because she was very special. And so the tree that you see hanging over, she lived in this house her whole life. And by the time I knew her, you had to duck under the tree to get into the front door because the tree was so old. It was propped up with a stick. And so family lore had it that when Ruth went, the tree would go. And so she passed away maybe 3 years after I hooked this, and they cut the tree down.
Oh, wow.
So that's the story.
That is really, it's almost like the tree was closing in, like it was closing the story.
Time to go.
Wow.
And she and I would sit together every year and talk about our gardens. And so I knew exactly her favorite, fruits and vegetables, the things that she liked.
Oh,
so,
she seems so special.
She's very special. And her granddaughter came to the opening. So it was really nice. She came all the way from upstate New York to be here. So.
I'm extra excited now for this. It's so emotional because there's such big pieces in there. People's lives. It's like a whole, I can't wait to read the book because I imagine that all of this great detail is in the book.
There's a lot of writing in the book. I should tell you just briefly about the book. My son, who's a graphic designer in New York, designed the book. And he said to me, after 20 years, Mom, you've got to document it. So I said, okay. And he pushed me to do a lot of things I wasn't comfortable with, and I learned an awful lot. One of the first thing was writing, which I'm not great at, and my daughter's an excellent writer. She's a textile designer in Rochester, New York, but she's also a great writer. So she encouraged me, she helped me, we got through that. And then I had Dave, who's my current photographer, drive me around for the whole month of June last year and photographed all these women to get more recent photos. Mm-hmm. So, and Brad Stanton, who was my photographer for 25 years, if you can believe it, he did everything for me. He photographed all these portraits. So I would finish one, he would photograph it, I would roll it up and put it away. So I actually haven't seen a lot of these.
Wow.
20 years. So, and then Nancy Moore, who's a Connecticut artist, was a book editor in her previous life. She's a painter now. She edited the whole book. And then we got this very special printer who did the limited edition for us. So that whole thing was a collaboration too.
Okay.
So I just feel like all of this has just been like, there's so many people involved in all of it.
I agree with your family. This much work, and now you are the keeper of other people's stories here too.
Yeah, that's true.
So that responsibility, not just to document your work, but their stories. It's important that it's done properly and for all of time. This book looks beautiful.
I just have to tell you, Marilyn's family is mostly in California. When she turned 90, she took me aside and said, I don't know if I'll live long enough to see when these go on exhibit. Can I see it? So I finished it. We had a celebration, a birthday party for her at 90. Her family came from California. And her rug hooking friends were there. And then here she is, 95 or 96, whatever she is. She came again, and they all came from California again.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, it's really been, I feel like they're family now. So,
Yeah.
It's really great.
And you've brought all these women together, but look at all the women you're bringing together, like just today on a Wednesday.
It's been amazing. People have been making connections. And
and for the rug hooking community too, just like showing this much rug hooking all at one time.
Did you met them? There were 2 rug hooking groups.
Oh, we ran into some of them. We know a lot of them.
Yeah. We've bumped into a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. I was saying when we started the video outside, this is like, rug hooking is such a small craft, and we're all hookers, and we feel that all the time. We are so proud, secondhand proud, and pleased that you did this work because you're bringing it to the space to people who aren't rug hookers. We know how small we are, and we know how hard it is to find us, and we are never represented this way.
Exactly. That's my whole point too. Yeah. I've always been trying to get us out there. One of these days, maybe we will.
Yes.
This is a great start.
Oh yeah.
And your sort of your vignette out there with the materials and everything. We were saying in the video how important it is for people to see that, because I think they think we work on a loom or God knows what, magic it up. But it's great to show how it is possible, and it's not even difficult to do.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do a little more of the the video, but I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much for your time.
I want to speak to you. This is just like staggering.
I'm so honored that you both came.
Oh my gosh, of course. I've been so happy to see it. So thank you so much.
Do you know anything about the future of the exhibit? Is it moving? after this?
Yes.
Oh, good point.
It's going, I've had a couple, I won't say mishaps, but a couple things that I didn't want to do because they didn't pan out the way I thought they were going to. As you know, these things are really heavy and they're really big and there's a lot involved in it. So, but they are going to Wisconsin, to the Wisconsin Museum of Quilts and Fiber Arts next. Wonderful place, wonderful curator. So they will be there next, around this time next year.
Okay.
For a while. It's a big barn, beautiful barn, museum barn. And they're going to be hanging from the ceiling rather than in walls. So that's my next challenge, to get everything to hang out there.
Great.
You can come back, Kimberly.
Oh,
that's great news because I know that there's a lot of viewers who are in Wisconsin. I have a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
I actually flew out to Wisconsin a year or two ago because there's such a group of rug hookers there.
Are they in the Cream City?
Some of them are.
I'm going to teach them.
Fantastic.
What's the name of the rug?
The Cream City Rug
Cream
Hookers.
City Rug
Give them a
Hookers.
3-day
Oh, they're in for a treat.
And is that this?
It'll be at the museum.
Okay. And that's this year, later this year?
It's 2026.
Okay.
And this is
I'm
the
gonna
dairy
follow up for that,
bar?
too.
It's
The Cream City is,
City, okay.
it's the region.
Okay.
And they're having it at this like dairy barn.
Dairy Barn, right? No, it's not the
It's a dairy barn.
Okay.
It's an old barn.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
there's a museum.
cool.
Yeah. And I tried to make it out there. These are some of our friends from the Nutmeg Guild who are popping back. Anybody want to come in?
She's gonna be my neighbor.
It's a gathering of rug hookers here.
There is a
Let
big
me
gathering.
get like a nice little pan of all of us here.
Do you want me to hold it while you walk us out?
Sure.
Let's switch because you've been holding this forever.
Yeah, you gotta get the wrists.
How lucky were we to just get that content?
My goodness.
I know.
Thank you to Liz for
I
taking
know.
the time. If you want to follow Liz Alpert Faye, she does have a website. Just, you know what? Just Google Liz Alpert Faye, but I believe her website is lizalpertfaye.com. She's active on Instagram, which is how I've been following her for years. I saw a lot of this work in process, and you can follow her there. Check out her book that we'll link to as well. And just thank you for being with us. We have our rug hooking friends here, a lot of people from the Nutmeg Guild here in Connecticut, and a lot of people filing in and out of the show. Like I said, not a lot of time for you to come see it. Again.
But you know it's on the move.
It's on the move.
And we certainly hope to see all of these pieces again in the
With
future.
the magic of the internet, you can see it too. So
Yes.
hopefully you'll get a good sense. You can buy her book.
And her
That's
book.
right.
Yeah, should we show the cover of the book as we head out?
Yeah, let's do that.